My mom didn't trust me to find love on my own. She looked me in the eyes one evening and said, "You're wasting time. A man your age should already be married." I laughed at first, thinking she was joking. But the next weekend she introduced me to 3 girls she had personally chosen. 3 strangers who were suddenly supposed to be my future. My name is Daniel. I'm 29 years old, from Dallas. Most people spend years searching for that one person who truly understands them. But for me, my mother decided love wasn't something I should search for at all. She thought she could hand it to me like a gift wrapped in tradition and expectations. At first, I told myself maybe it wasn't so bad. After all, these were good girls. Smart, polite, the kind of women anyone would be proud to marry. But as I stood there shaking hands with them one by one, I felt something heavy in my chest. Each smile seemed rehearsed, each laugh too perfect. It didn't feel like love. It felt like an audition. My mom's eyes stayed on me the whole time, waiting for me to approve of her choices. I tried to smile back, to play the role of a grateful son, but inside I felt like a puppet. That night, as the 3 girls sat in our living room chatting politely, my mom leaned close to me and whispered, "One of them will be your wife. Don't disappoint me." Her words weren't a suggestion, they were an order. And as I looked at the 3 faces in front of me, my stomach turned with dread. Thought this was about love. But soon I would discover, it was about control. At first I tried to convince myself that maybe my mom was right. Maybe she knew better than I did. The 3 girls were kind in their own ways. One baked cookies and left them on our doorstep. Another called to ask how my day was, and the third showed up with books she thought I might enjoy. For a while the attention felt flattering. It was as if I was living in some strange dream where everyone wanted to be the one I chose. But the cracks showed quickly. Their questions weren't about who I was or what I wanted. They were about what my mom wanted. Every smile felt measured, every laugh placed carefully, as though they were performing for her, not for me. I tried to joke around, to talk about my real interests, but their eyes flicked to my mother before they answered. It was as if they were afraid to say the wrong thing. My mom grew impatient. Every morning at breakfast she would press me. "Have you decided yet? Don't drag this out, Daniel. People are watching." Her words tightened around me like chains. I started to feel like my life wasn't mine anymore. Each girl seemed less like a possibility for love and more like a piece of a deal being negotiated behind my back. The pressure built until one evening at dinner. I was sitting across from one of the girls and she was smiling so perfectly it almost felt unreal. She reached for my hand just as my mom beamed with approval. For a moment I wondered if I could accept it. If I could learn to love whoever I chose the way my mom wanted. But then I noticed something. As she held my hand, her phone lit up on the table. And the name glowing on her screen wasn't mine. That single message on her phone stayed in my head long after the dinner ended. She smiled at me, but her eyes flickered with something else, something distant. I couldn't ignore it anymore. So I began to pay closer attention, to listen more carefully when I thought no one was watching. And that's when the truth started slipping out in pieces. One night, I passed by the kitchen and heard my mom's voice, low and firm, speaking on the phone. She was whispering with one of the girls' parents, talking about arrangements, and what this marriage would mean for both families. My heart sank. It wasn't about love at all. It was about money, reputation, and appearances. Then a few days later I overheard one of the girls on her phone outside our house. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "I can't keep this up. He doesn't even know I love you." She wasn't talking about me. She was talking about someone else. My stomach twisted as I realized she was just as trapped as I was. It was my cousin Stephen who finally said what I was too scared to admit. He pulled me aside and said, "Daniel, open your eyes. This isn't your choice. Your mom already made it for you. None of this has anything to do with love." His words hit me harder than I expected because deep down I already knew they were true. Piece by piece the picture became clearer. One girl didn't want me. Another was only here because her parents pushed her. And my mom, she wasn't trying to help me find love. She was trying to build a future that looked perfect on the outside no matter how empty it was on the inside. I thought I was choosing my future. But the truth was I had never been given a choice at all. I couldn't keep quiet anymore. One evening when the house was finally quiet, I sat across from my mom at the kitchen table. The evidence weighed heavy in my pocket. The overheard whispers, the hidden truths, the things I had pieced together. My voice shook as I asked, "Why can't I choose for myself? Why do you have to control this?" She didn't even look surprised. She folded her arms and said coldly, "Because love is weak. Family comes first. I'm protecting you from mistakes you don't even see coming." Her words cut through me not because they were harsh but because she believed them with all her heart. To her, my feelings were nothing compared to appearances. I tried to explain, to tell her I couldn't love someone chosen like this, but she shook her head. "You learn to love. That's what marriage is. Sacrifice." Her voice was strong, but just then one of the girls walked in. She froze when she saw us, her eyes filling with tears. And then, to my shock, she blurted out, "I can't do this anymore. I'm in love with someone else." Her voice cracked, her body trembling as if she had been holding it in for too long. The room went silent. My mom's face hardened, her eyes narrowing at her like she had betrayed some sacred agreement. But I didn't feel anger, I felt relief. Relief that I wasn't the only one drowning in this false picture of love. And in that moment the truth hit me harder than ever. None of us were free. Not me, not her, not even the others. We were all prisoners of my mother's expectations. That night I left the house without saying a word. The streets were quiet, but my mind was loud, full of everything I had just witnessed. My mom's voice, sharp and commanding. The girl's trembling confession that she loved someone else. My own silence, heavy with guilt. I walked for hours, not caring where I was going, just needing to breathe air that didn't taste like control. I sat alone on a park bench, staring at the ground as couples walked past me, holding hands, laughing, choosing each other freely. That's when it hit me, what I had never had was choice. Love is supposed to be two people finding each other, not two families negotiating terms behind closed doors. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, if I gave in to my mom's plan, I would never know what real love felt like. When I finally returned home, the girls were gone, but the weight of my mother's disappointment hung in the air. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just looked at me with a cold finality and said, "You'll regret this." Maybe I would. Maybe walking away meant losing her approval, her pride, and the version of life she had imagined for me. But for the first time I felt something she couldn't take away from me, my own voice. Later that week, while packing a few things to move into my cousin Stephen's place, I found a small envelope slipped under my door. Inside was a note, handwritten in delicate ink. "Thank you for not choosing me. You gave me back my freedom." My hands trembled as I read it, my chest tight with a mix of sadness and relief. And in that moment I finally understood. My mom had picked 3 girls to love me. But in the end, the only love worth having was the one I chose for myself. Moving out of that house wasn't easy. Every box I carried felt like a piece of my past breaking away. Every step out the door felt like betraying the woman who had raised me. But staying would have been worse. For the first time in my life, I chose myself instead of her expectations. Some nights, the guilt still crept in. I would lie awake wondering if I had hurt her more than I realized, if I had destroyed the image of the son she wanted me to be. Other nights, I felt a strange kind of peace, like I had finally stepped into a life that was truly mine. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't secure, but it was real. Weeks later, my phone buzzed with a message from one of the girls. She wrote, "I hope you find someone who loves you for you. We were all trapped in something none of us wanted." I read it 3 times, my throat tight, my eyes burning. For the first time I realized it wasn't just me who had been suffocating. It was them too. We were all victims of choices made for us. Standing by the window that night, I thought about what love really means. It isn't about pleasing parents or saving face or living up to traditions. Love is freedom. It's choosing someone with your heart, not your fear. My mom picked 3 girls to love me, but none of them were mine to begin with. And maybe one day, I'll meet the woman I was meant to choose on my own. Until then, I carry this lesson with me. The greatest love story doesn't begin when someone else chooses for you. It begins the moment you finally choose for yourself.